that again? Because I just want to make sure I understood your question.
Okay. What do you think precipitated the controller's office finally doing what you had begged them to do for years? And not only did they not do it, they came in for a day, they left. As your career was put in the meat grinder.
Well, look, I think one of the things that I can tell you is I don't see this as necessarily a completely bad thing. Unfortunately, someone had to stand up for the people of Mount Vernon. Someone had to fight. And what I do want to add, and what I do want to say about the controller's move right now is it's a great step toward finally getting transparency in Mount Vernon's books. It's a great step toward finding a way to hold people more accountable. And for me, in particular, I just want to say that I never objected to having my campaign finance records reviewed. It's if errors were made, errors were made. What I always contended and what I always objected to was the fact that the process of how my records were obtained and scrutinized. And that's a nuance, and I just want to give everybody a quick comparison. Westchester legislator Chris Johnson went before the State Board of Elections, and he was ultimately penalized $1,000 for mishandling his campaign finances. So if he could go through that process, how come I could not?
Well, that's all true.
But Bob,
You know this, that there's no dispute as to what happened. There were bad optics. There was.
Bob, forget the optics for a moment. Forget the optics. Let's if we're.
Optics these days.
But that's the problem. Our Constitution says we're supposed to have due process. We're Americans. We're not, in Russia. We're not in another third world country. We're in America. But for some reason, the due process that I believe I'm entitled to as an American were violated. The point is, the state attorney general is not supposed to just skip every step and get a look at your campaign finances and criminalize them. You're supposed to go to the State Board of Elections first. But here's the rub. Once the controller of the state of New York activates an investigation into your government, it's a government investigation. The AG used that move as a pretext to then back into.
Okay, but back up a little bit, because you're confusing us. Well, are you saying that the controller had been involved once before, but only with respect to your finances, not with respect to?
No. New York State Controller Tom DiNapoli, his office opened an investigation into Mount Vernon's finances 30 days into my administration.
Right.
That became the justification for the AG to then look at my government. And then from there, the AG took steps to investigate me personally.
Here's why I need you to hold it up, because I need people to understand this. Is you're saying the controller did come in 30 days in to look at your campaign finances.
No.
But not at the rest of the city.
No. Well, that's what happened. But the state controller came into Mount Vernon as soon as I was mayor. As soon as I was elected mayor, they started investigating my government.
No, I understand, but what I'm hearing is all they did was look at your campaign finances.
There you go.
They come back 3 years later when you said you need to look at all this other stuff.
But it's more than that. They were constantly looking at the IDA. They were constantly looking at the water department. They were looking at DPW. They were looking at the city. They were watching these problems in real time. So I'm just kind of like, why didn't you do something back then? The whole objective was to get Rich Thomas. It was to get Rich out of office.
But Mayor, what I would, from my perch here, with obviously it's easier for me to be objective. The real issue is, and again, if that was the objective, it may be apparent, but we may never know for sure. But what we can demand and answer that is why 2 to 3 years later, when you beg them, and those are my words, but I've seen the documents, when you beg them to come in and look at the finances and deal with the controller, why they didn't do it. And again, why they're finally coming in now. Do you have any sense of what brought them in now?
You know, I have my own theories, but what I know is the following. You know, I have faith that the best decisions are going to be ultimately made. The best decision is going to be to hold this controller who's just, you know, way out of line accountable. And my belief is we're finally going to get some transparency in Mount Vernon's finances.
Well, before you go, when we talk about transparency in the finances, given your expertise, given you've worked with these things, given, and I'll underscore this for you, and I'm leaving out your campaign finance issue because
I want to keep bringing it up. Don't leave it out because it's essential for everybody to know.
Because I don't want to muddy these waters. Where else in the city do you think that they need to look extra hard at? That's the IDA,
So
Urban Renewal Agency. Where do you think we're liable to see fires look?
So first, I think they need to look at the controller herself. She has paid her attorney without there being any board of estimate approval or submission. She's made wire transfers with just her name on it only, so she doesn't have to issue checks, so we don't know who she's paid. She's held monies from the school district, our children, hostage. She has held monies from retirees, overtime for DPW, fire, police workers. She won't even pay them. She has done everything in the book that you can, you know, criminalize, but yet they hold her up as if she's a saint because she blocked and obstructed Richard Thomas. And they forget it's not just me, it's bigger than me. It's about the people of Mount Vernon. So you have to look hard at her and ask yourself, how could she spend so much money, block everybody out, and yet nobody can do anything to her office? How could she have so much executive authority?
That's the question we keep asking. Similarly, when she was able to defy court orders with absolutely no consequence. I mean, we saw a case where we did a story this morning where a rabbi, for goodness sake, man of the cloth, was told he's going to go to jail if he doesn't report today. Yet when she was ordered to open the books for your administration, she was able to say, no, I ain't doing it. And there was no consequence. But again, I'm no lawyer. I don't know that. Listen, I know there are a lot of things involved in this, and I wanted to give you a minute to give your take on this and tell people how much you welcome this audit, what your take is and what you're looking for.
So one of the things I know is that I really look forward to this audit being taken place because it's way overdue. And what I do know is that there are issues with the Urban Renewal Agency. You have $96 million in federal loans that are undocumented, unaccounted for. And you have a scenario where the city is being asked to pay back much of those loans. About $3 million at least right now is being demanded back. And who knows how high.
But who's demanding that money? The federal government. In other words, the federal government gave money to the city of Mount Vernon. The city of Mount Vernon loaned that money out. The federal government's looking to get payback, correct?
That's correct. That happened under previous administrations.
I want people to understand that. Now, are those debits, if you will, I'm being an old Wall Street guy, are those obligations, are those debits still on the books as we speak to your knowledge?
They are, and our previous auditor, or our auditor, O'Connor Davies, was trying to get me to write those loans off. The $3 million, the $96 million. They were trying to get me to write it off. And I said, well, I need to understand what it is before I just say these liabilities become the liability exclusively of the taxpayers of Mount Vernon. And
Richard Thomas, I have been in a professional position to have to write off seven-figure amounts. And you require a big file and a good explanation before you write off hundreds of thousands, millions, or tens of millions. Were there any explanations given to you, or were you just told to write them off as irreconcilable?
If you have a beep button, I think if you just use that for a moment and then add the word off after it, you'll know what I was told by our auditors, the counsel, the former controller, the current controller.
Well, the auditor should have been fired in that case, my point of view.
And that's where the fight broke out, Bob. Because the moment I started saying, look, we need to get a different set of auditors in here, all hell broke loose. And that's where, again, look, I'm just giving you the sequence of what happened. And that's why I'm saying you have to look at it for what it is. This is a bigger issue. This is a bigger matter that relates to a lot of money. And I hope that the controller is transparent with their audit. And if they want to talk to me about anything, we'd love to give them.
I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
Finish that thought.
Yeah, I'd love to sit and talk with them, but I can give them documents in advance. I mean, remember, we put a lot in court. We already pointed out that the the city controller has been making payments unilaterally. Remember, she removed me from the bank accounts. Remember, the bank called the cops on me when I started asking questions, even though I was a signatory on the account and had a court order. So I just want to emphasize, like, there's something up with Mount Vernon's money, and to me, it's not just a conspiracy, it's a reality. So my hope and my prayer is that as they dig into this situation, they don't hold back. And I'll be more than happy to provide whatever documents, whatever policy decisions that we made to bring in the lawyers that make the decision with us to make sure that the decision was made legally, ethically, and morally.
This much I can promise you, the mayor of Mount Vernon, the controller of Mount Vernon, for Motherhood and Apple Pie, that we will reach out to whomever is the communications person for the controller's office, and we will request updates. Also, we will give access to you to these microphones to raise the questions that need to be raised. I want to thank you very much this morning for your candor. Any final words? Take 30 seconds.
You know, I just want to say thank you to all the people in Mount Vernon. Thank you to you for being independent and objective and looking at this. And, you know, while my time in public service is over for now, I'm in a new chapter of my life. And while many want me to run for comptroller or run for mayor again, you know, I'm on to different things. So my only focus is I'm going to continue to agitate. I'm going to continue to encourage that people stand up in Mount Vernon and work toward the greater good. And if it's, you know, supporting the current mayor, I'm going to support her because Memorial Field will get fixed. If it's supporting the current council because they're finally standing up to the controller, I'm going to support them. Even though all the things happened in the past, it's in the past. So let's just keep looking ahead and just say, let's get it right. We wasted a lot of time, money, and it's time to just move on. Let it all be in the past because the future is much better and it can be much brighter if we just work together and stop being like the National Democrats, deliberately disorganized, deliberately chaotic.
Mr. Thomas, everybody.
I look forward to working with everybody to make it better. Thanks. Thanks, guys.